guys, Yips here coming out with you with another video, and this one's going to be about PvP and peeling your teammates. Now, peeling your teammates in Arena is very, very important, especially when running an Affliction Warlock. Affliction Warlock excels at delaying the game until you're at a point where your raw pressure just forces the enemy to play in a way that they don't want to play, and then you just win the game off of sustained pressure and getting that counter pressure in. So, the really two main points I want to focus on this game is when to use your fears, why I'm using my fears, and how to kind of get that counter pressure and what to do once your peels are done. So those are the kind of the points I want to cover in this video. And just to initially start talking about it, when you want to be using your fears is when the enemy team is popping their cooldowns, or your teammate's getting really low and you need to catch up, or your healer gets CC'd. Those are the kind of three moments where you really want to be utilizing your CC. Obviously you can't do them at every single point, but generally you don't have to. So against a team like a Beast Cleave that's training my priest, I need to be aware of their cooldown Bloodlust. And if I was playing against a team like a TSG, I would need to be aware of Pillar of Frost, Avatar, and Battlecry. If I was playing against a Windwalker Monk, I would need to be aware of Serenity, and really how to use your cooldowns against compositions like that. So here, when they pop Bloodlust, I'm going to be looking to do as many peels as I can on the DPS, and then after my peels are done on the DPS, I'm going to be looking to get counter pressure. And that's kind of the way the game goes. It's kind of an ebb and flow of where they get a lot of pressure with their cooldowns, but I'm peeling, and then after their cooldowns are gone, I'm getting as much counter pressure as I can possibly on them, and making us, move more towards that point where they're under way too much pressure and we just, win the game from there. So, just starting the video, I'll kind of talk over the VOD and just sort of show you what I'm thinking about while the game's going on and sort of how I like to react against a team like this. So, against a Beast Cleave, what are they going to do, right? They're going to run in and they're going to pop their cooldowns instantly every single time and get a trap on your healer, get a leg sweep on your healer, so don't worry too much about getting opening pressure against a Beast Cleave because it's really not important. The important thing is living while minimizing your cooldowns. World of Warcraft is heavily a cooldown game. If you have cooldowns and your enemy team doesn't have cooldowns, you're considered ahead, and you really, really are, and cooldowns are super, super, super important part of this game. So, you see the enemy team running in here. I'm getting a few dots out while I wait for them to set up, and the hunter starts casting a freezing arrow. So I'm just going to pause here and sort of talk about what I'm thinking. Okay. The hunter's casting a freezing arrow on my druid. That means he's going to get trapped. If the druid is going to get trapped, what's that mean? That means that they're going to pop cooldowns onto my priest and try to kill him. Like, what else would they be trying to do, right? Like, heal him? No, they're going to try to pop cooldowns on my priest and kill them. So what's my reaction? I weakness the hunter, I stun him, and I start casting fear. I'm not worried about dotting anymore. I'm not worried about getting pressure. I'm worried about my priest dying. And you may say, wow, that's crazy, your priest has a full life. No, my priest is definitely not going to be at full life during this trap. They're going to try to kill him, and I'm already preemptively peeling. And this is what you really have to do as a warlock. You really have to get these preemptive peels in order to minimize the amount of cooldowns that your team has to use. So I start casting a fear on the hunter. I start casting again because I assume it's going to get removed. I do get incapped. He does get dispelled over that, and so I start casting a fear on the shaman. He trinkets. I fear him again, and then I start casting, the fear on the hunter again. So really just utilizing triple fear DR on the enemy team here, and my priest lives. You saw he got really low, but he didn't have to disperse. My druid didn't have to trinket the trap because I utilized those fear DRs. You can see the hunter's on 1/4 fear DR, and let me make this full screen, and the shaman's on full fear DR. But now that this has happened, now that their opener's over, my priest is still kind of low, but what can I do? I can't really do anything anymore with regards to peeling him. I could fear the hunter one more time for like 1 second, but I end up choosing not to do that because my druid does call that he ironbarks the priest in this situation. So I consider my priest to be in a good spot right now. I think that he's fine. So I'm going to start looking to get that counter pressure. So I'm going to start to look to get as many dots out as I can on the enemy team and prioritizing getting that fear on the healer in order to make it so that he can fall behind and we can get ahead in the game. So I start to get my dot pressure out. I start to try, get as many things as I can, and I fear to put the healer into a full fear. So he's going to be sitting that, and we're just going to be generating counter pressure now. I get put into the full hex. I cast another fear on the enemy healer here on his aura mastery, and we're getting as much pressure as possible. My druid gets trapped again. But look at the situation, right? My druid gets trapped again. My priest is at full health, but look what I'm doing. I'm starting to cast a fear again. Okay? I'm starting to cast a fear again, and I'm fearing the enemy team as soon as my druid gets trapped, like no delay, right? I fear the shaman, I fear him twice, I start casting fear on the hunter again. I think I stopped there because I think my priest is fine here, but, we just got a lot of pressure. The hunter was forced to deter there because of the pressure that we set up earlier, setting the monk behind, and I peeled my priest really effectively, and now I'm going to start casting fear again on the hunter just to try to help my druid catch up a little bit the druid puts the monk into a full bash there. We're just getting more and more pressure. I fear the hunter again, allowing my priest to catch up. I fear the shaman, allowing my druid to catch up even more and more. So even though my druid gets trapped here and the shaman's in a 1/4 fear and I don't have DRs, I've had it so I've peeled them so much and so constantly that they just don't have damage for this setup. And since I allowed my druid to top the priest before that, they're not able to kill him here. So we're really far ahead at this point because my priest hasn't had to use disperse and my druid hasn't had to use trinket, and they've used all their cooldowns and their shaman doesn't have a trinket, and we're generating all this raw pressure because I just have all this free time to get all these dots out because I'm not worried about peeling my priest, because every time that they've gone offensive, I've done that. This is an important moment in the match where I just like to highlight that we do kind of make a mistake. I really shouldn't have feared that hunter there, and my druid really shouldn't have cloned the shaman. I shouldn't have feared the hunter there because they weren't doing anything aggressive. You see that they weren't really pushing in for CC. My priest wasn't really in any trouble, and he shouldn't have cloned the shaman because the shaman is our only kill target right now. The other two classes are behind the pillar, they're lining, and the shaman's the only one we can hit in the middle, and he's certainly not going to solo the priest, especially with not any crowd control. So we really shouldn't have used our CCDRs right there, and it might come back to bite us in the butt, but we're really just far ahead on pressure right now. My druid just bashes that shaman out of the clone. But the enemy team, you see, they're pushing in here to go aggressive, and I'm going to have to end up half fearing the hunter here. It kind of sucks that I have to do that, but I do it anyways in order to peel my priest because I know the enemy team is going to be going aggressive. Fear DRs are often like 3 seconds on the shaman, so I'm going to start doing that as soon as I can. As soon as that fear DR wears off, I'm going to start fearing him again. So even though we kind of messed up there, I'm still just rotating my DRs best I can, still just rotating all my fears as well as I possibly can, and the enemy team is just dying to our rot. They're dying to our rot pressure. They're really falling behind because they can't keep up with our dots. If they if the game lasts 3, 4, 5 minutes, the monk just simply isn't able to keep up because between the setups we're just getting so much counter pressure because I'm able to fear the monk. I have 2 CSs for him. He's having a really hard time topping his team off. And here, I put the monk into a full fear, he ends up trinketing it, the enemy team is so far behind they're not able to play ideally anymore, and the hunter just ended up going down. So that's kind of how you want to play as a warlock. It's certainly not an easy thing to do, to preemptively know, okay, my priest is in trouble even though he's at 100% health, I need to start fearing. Because if you mess that up, if you start, if you did what we did, let me just skip back a little bit here. If you're doing what we were doing here, where we're not CCing when he's not in trouble, you're going to end up losing the game because your CCDRs aren't going to be up when you want them to be, so you need to be careful about that. You need to be careful that you only really want to CC at ideal moments during the match, which is when your healing is getting trapped or your priest is so far behind that you really just need to catch up. And then, between getting those fears, you want to be getting as much counter pressure out as you can. So I hope this helped you guys learn about how to peel for your teammates, about how you should be looking at, helping your teammates out in a match, how to rotate fear DRs, especially versus a cleave. This was a cleave matchup, so this is how you want to do versus a cleave. Versus casters, it is slightly different, so perhaps I'll make a different video in the future for casters, but this is generally how you want to peel against a cleave for your teammates. So thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you liked it, and I'll see you guys later.